What's something you shouldn't give to a homeless person? Food that needs to be cooked. Edit. Give the awards to the homeless instead of me. Also, food that requires a hard bite. Many are in need of dental care. This. I offered a man a Nature Valley granola bar once, cause that was all I had, but he turned me down because he couldn't eat it. Frown. Offered an apple once. He grinned and handed it back to me. He had only 3 teeth. This apple scenario also happened to me, so after I would buy a bunch of bananas and give them out along my walk home through East Vancouver. I'd also leave them like little smiles on parking meters, because potassium is sure to spark joy. We were in Atlanta on a long layover at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. A homeless guy came up and said he hadn't eaten in so long, his colostomy bag was empty. He lifted up his shirt and showed us. We weren't carrying cash, but my wife had a couple of bananas in her purse, which he was quite thankful for. My wife had a couple of bananas in her purse. Out of all the fruit I would carry in my purse, if I had one, bananas would be the last one I would pick. I see how they end up in my kids' lunch bags after a day of school, and they are much more protected compared to a purse. Lol. My grandma used to have a friend that always teased her because she could never find anything in her big purse. One day, as a sort of prank experiment I guess, he put a banana in her purse to see how long it would take for her to notice it was there. She dug through her purse every day but somehow never noticed it, until one day he asked her about it. She dumped the purse with him there and the banana was shriveled and black, basically a banana mummy. How it didn't smush and get all over everything in her purse, they'll never know. Every year for the last, decade, the temperature drops, I grab my winter coat, and find a desiccated husk of a clementine in the pocket. I manage to do this consistently and accidentally. A frozen turkey. Had a friend who used to send plated meals to the homeless people near her house, occasionally. One day one of them came to her door with a frozen turkey. Someone had driven to the homeless area and handed this woman a frozen turkey. When the woman delivered it she said, "I figured you have an oven, maybe you can use it." What did they think I was going to do with it? I've got a shopping cart, not an oven. As a kid, who was poor but fortunately not homeless, we used to get a bunch of donated turkeys every Thanksgiving. Freezer would be wall-to-wall turkeys and we would be eating turkey for dinner for what seemed like months. Thank God we at least had a freezer, or no doubt much of it would have been wasted. People always donate turkeys on Thanksgiving, but ignore the rest of the year I guess. But eating turkey for a couple of months is a lot better than eating nothing. I am thankful for anyone who donated something I ate as a kid, as I don't know where I would be now otherwise. Dead I guess. Our grocery store used to donate turkeys every year for our Christmas drive, about 200 families, but they would run into the issue of people not being able to store or cook them, or just not practical to give a turkey to a family of 1 to 3 people, so now they give $25 store-specific, handwritten gift cards for people to get whatever they need. As a poor kid, a turkey to my family of 3 didn't survive long. It's nice to give people options, but we never would have looked at a free turkey with side eyes. I hate turkey and used to get a coupon for a free turkey where I worked. Luckily the store would let me get a chicken instead. I would buy a hen about the same size as the coupon stated. It's funny, when my dad worked and we were just kinda poor, we would always eat chicken on Thanksgiving because we couldn't afford a turkey and the chicken was cheaper. It was only after we became dirt poor and relying more on food banks did we start having turkey. I don't think anything is cheaper now. I'm always shocked when I look at the prices of meat these days. I'm really surprised I haven't seen this answer, but anything of noticeably high value. Brand name clothing or shoes, expensive backpacks, watches, etc. This can get them killed, or at the very least targeted and mugged. It also makes things harder for them to be taken seriously and receive effective aid if they're dressed in expensive clothing, that or it's assumed they stole it, which is a whole other problem. This should honestly be the top answer. Rich people want to make themselves feel good and donate Gucci sweaters and shit that will get them ducked up and robbed, and nobody will ever help a dude in a Gucci sweater with a few bucks to get some food. It's just all around a really screwed up gift donation. My friend, who used to float around the city, took my $50, won at a high school raffle, shitty beach cruiser and rode it over to the beach. Apparently the bike was enough to get beaten and robbed over, and he was pretty ducking bloodied over $5 worth of aluminum to take down to the scrapyard. My tip as a homeless man is to avoid other homeless people at all costs unless they are obviously a part of your particular subculture. I dread having to navigate through city centers when I'm traveling to a new destination, but sometimes it's unavoidable. This is my number one rule. There are nice people, and I'll help in little ways in passing, when I can, but I will not hang out with other homeless people. Related story time. I used to work at a thrift store in processing. Basically, I sorted donations, cleaned them up if needed, priced them, and put them out onto the floor. One day I got in a donation a bunch of those kits you see people put together for homeless people. They have things like a stick of deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, hand sanitizer, wet wipes, that sort of thing. I was going through them for things we weren't allowed to put onto the floor, like medication. They had packets of Tylenol in them, when I found a folded $50 bill in there. I unfolded it, and it was one of those Christian pamphlet things, you know, the ones that say, money isn't the cure for everything, only Jesus will get you into heaven or whatever. So basically, don't get someone who's desperate for money fake money that says they shouldn't worry about money. Would be funny if people started putting those fake Bill Christian pamphlets into the collection plate. I know a server that mailed the ones she collected to a local church. With any luck, they were as crestfallen as she was when they realized what they really were. If it was the church that distributed them, that would be too funny. I've done outreach work. They get so much food and water, but females need feminine hygiene products and they all will need socks. A hard time. And disrespect. Mostly related, but I work at a homeless shelter and you would not believe some of the shit that comes through donations. Lingerie, beat up clothing and shoes, outdated appliances. If you want to donate, you can always call ahead and see if the shelter is looking for particular items. Seasonal clothing, hygiene items, not half-used shampoo bottles, and new socks and underwear are always good ideas. Edit, thanks for the awards. For those asking, my shelter always has lots of donations including full bottles of shampoos, so I would rather give out a full bottle rather than half. That reminds me of my time when I worked at a homeless center for mentally ill homeless and I was tasked with sorting out a box of DVDs that were donated. 75% of the box was porn. I'm pretty sure most PPL who donate stuff just have some junk that they don't want to throw away as it's perfectly usable, but they have no use or space for. I think the will this actually help whoever I'm donating to is secondary to not wasting an item, and in their eyes they are saints for letting another person have their garbage. One man's trash is another man's whacking material. I used to work for a non-profit and we gave out branded tire pressure gauges. I'm not sure why, I thought it was an odd choice, but we found out one day while outreaching that some of our clients were turning them into crack pipes. Needless to say, we stopped giving those out. How did that start? Tire pressure gauges are in the sweet spot of branded promotional items because they have a useful purpose. People commonly don't have one already, and they're easy to store away until needed. The key question when picking a branded promo item is it something that people will reasonably find value in, and do they not already have one? You don't want them to think it's the best gift ever, you just want them to remember it and not immediately throw it away. I'm in business development, and I am always on the hunt for some sweet swag to give out to clients and prospects as far as lower cost stuff. Personally, I really like branded Sharpies. It would depend on the intended client whether those would be in black or a color. Branded Sharpies is an excellent idea. I always need a Sharpie, I couldn't care less what logo's on it. Laxatives. This homeless guy that used to live in a nearby bridge was given food that secretly had some sort of laxative in it. Needless to say, he became a lot more wary of free food afterwards. I don't think they ever found out who the boss that did it was. Christ, that's terrible. I remember that story of the guy who replaced the Oreo cream with toothpaste and gave them out to the homeless. At least in this case the piece of shit was caught. HuffPost.com edit. Changed link to another site that doesn't suck as much. The 21-year-old's defense in court was that he does it to mount a show arguing people like what is morbid. But a judge ruled it was not an isolated incident, and said he had previously shown cruel behavior toward vulnerable people. In one incident, he offered older people and children sandwiches filled with cat feces. I kinda wanna kick this guy's face in. I wanna feed him toothpaste and shit-filled sandwiches. Yup. Give it right back to his stupid ass.